Boris Legend here, and today it's time for a new tutorial on my channel. Today I will show you all of the 11 new skills and tricks in FIFA 19. Yes, there are 11 in total. EA has been diligent this year. I will simply show you how and when to use each one of them. Let's get into it. First off, we have the right stick chip, which can be done by all players, but there is also a different variation which requires 4-star skill moves. To do the big chip, you only have to release your left stick and then press the right stick. But to do the lower, faster 4-star variation, you still hold the left stick in the direction you're running and then you press the right stick. This new skill move can be used to maneuver away from slide tackles. The execution is very easy, which makes this a useful trick. And it can also be used on one touch to flick the ball up, ready for a cheeky combination. Moving over to the first touch flick, which I also talked about in a previous video. This makes FIFA 19 into some kind of Joga Bonito FIFA Street edition, and I like it. The first touch flick is very easy. You only have to flick the right stick in the direction you want to go. And if you hold instead of flicking it, the touch will be longer. This can be used as a skill move against a rushing defender. The first touch flick can be very useful around the box to flick the ball up and lay up for a perfect volley. We all know how efficient volleys and overhead kicks are in FIFA 19, and hopefully you will be more successful than me. Connected to the two previous moves, we have the knee juggle. Simply, when the ball is in the air, you just repeatedly press the right stick. This will make the player juggle with his knees and other body parts. You can also move the left stick forward while doing this to run forward. This skill move is useful if you want the opponent to throw his PlayStation out of the window. It looks very nice, but it might not be the skill move to use in a tight FUT Champions game. Next up, we have the disguise trap, which I also covered in a previous first touch video. This move adds a very nice animation to the first touch and is easy to perform. You just have to hold R1 or RB on Xbox while picking a direction with the left stick. There are two variations, either pointing the left stick straight where the ball is coming from, or pointing it in a 90-degree angle of the direction the player is facing. This new trick looks very nice in the game, but it's perhaps not the most useful one. You can do perfectly fine without adding the disguise trap into your FIFA 19 repertoire. Now we're getting into the actual skill moves. First out, we have the Neymar Rainbow Flick, which is a special amazing animation which only can be done by the man, Neymar himself. It works exactly like a normal rainbow flick. You have to flick the right stick 3 times quickly. First in the opposite direction that you're running, and then twice in the exact direction that you're running. If you have Neymar in your team, this skill move is a must to implement from time to time. It's very effective when an opponent is rushing towards you, and most of all, it looks absolutely freaking amazing. Next up, we have the passing feint, which is a fantastic new addition in FIFA 19, and this can be done by all players. It works just like a regular fake shot. You just have to hold L1 or LB on Xbox during the whole execution. So, hold L1 and press your crossing button, followed by your passing button, while you pick the direction with the left stick, either to the left or to the right. The passing feint can be a bit clumsy sometimes, but it adds a great sprint boost, which is hard to stop if the opponent isn't on his toes. It's especially useful in games with a lot of delay, which unfortunately isn't too uncommon these days. Moving over to the new step overs, which is a 2-star skill move. This works the same as in previous games, but there's a new cool animation, and it also adds a small sprint boost after the execution. This move requires a bit practice. You have to move the right stick in small back and forth motions towards the direction you're running, and then you have to pick an exit direction with the left stick. The new step over is one of my favorite additions. It looks very nice and is hard to predict since you can pick any exit direction. The 45-degree exit is a personal favorite. Time for La Croqueta, the Iniesta move, which is a 4-star skill move. This is a must in your FIFA 19 repertoire and deserves a dedicated tutorial. To do it, you have to hold L1 or LB on Xbox while holding the right stick either left or right of the direction you're facing, of course depending on which way you want to go. And remember, hold the left stick, don't flick it. This is a very responsive skill move that is great to use in front of the legs of the opponent. It is very hard to stop with the right timing. I'm pretty sure Iniesta is smiling over in Japan. Next up we have a very fancy bounce trap, and yes, this name I gave might be inspired from Fortnite. This requires 4-star skill moves and the flare trait. To do this skill you have to hold L2 or LT on Xbox while you flick the right stick in the direction you're running. To make a bigger bounce, you just have to hold the right stick forward instead of flicking it. This skill move is a true party trick, but it's hard to find a perfect moment to do it in the game. The ball has to bounce and the opponent has to rush you, but when you succeed, there is only one way out for the opponent. And then we have another fancy skill move which also requires 4-star skill move, the new 3-touch roulette. To do it you have to hold down L2 or LT on Xbox while flicking the right stick twice. First in the opposite direction that you're running, and then 90 degrees left or right of the first flick, depending on which direction you want to go. This skill move can be good to use in tight spaces to surprise your opponent. It's also very useful on the wing to cut in. Simply a dangerous move which is hard to predict. And finally we have the bar roll flick, which is a 5-star skill move. To do it you need to know how to perform a bar roll. Hold the right stick in a 90-degree angle of the direction you're running, left or right, and then directly after you just press the right stick, just like we did in the first skill move. Important, you have to do this bar roll press combination in a quick succession in order to activate this exact skill move. This can be a fancy way to surpass